Y'all want to know the kind of shit that I went through when in those horrible ass mental hospitals? I've mentioned some stories a few times in scattered videos, but one of the things that really bothers me, when I was there, I can't remember which time it was. I think it was the third time. Yes, I'm fucking crazy. I'm kidding. I was on suicide watch. And when you're on suicide watch, these bitches force you to shower with the shower curtain open and a nurse either sitting in the bathroom or sitting right outside of it. Well, fuck me and my privacy then. And you know, I have childhood trauma. I'm not gonna say what. So it really bothered me. And also, the nurses, they tended to talk shit about us when they thought we were asleep. Saying crap like, oh, these kids are never gonna get better. Or they're so retarded. Or she's a bitch or something like that. And I'm just like, die in a hole, please. Yeah. Though, I've obviously only been in the children's ward. My brother went to one not too long ago, and he obviously went into the adult ward, and he said they were amazing there. So I'm thinking they treat the kids like shit while the adults are treated much better. Like I heard that at St. Simon's by the Sea, the adults are allowed 1 or 2 smoke breaks a day, which means they can go outside. Us kids, the entire time I was there, I was only allowed outside twice, and I was there for a week. Not to mention, at Lake Bridge, which is now shut down from abusing their patients, including myself, they didn't even let you outside. You went down, and I counted multiple times, 9 flights of stairs to get to a gym where we barely had anything but fucking basketballs. The best one I've gone to would be St. Simon's by the Sea. It does have its really bad flaws, though. And then Coastal, which is the first one I went to, we had this nice small little gym, and there were like a variety of toys we could play with. I mean, it was fucking amazing. Like, we had those little rolly things you'd have in gym class where you'd sit on it or lay on it and roll across the floor. We had hula hoops, we had jump ropes, we had fucking yoga balls, and it was the best shit. Its only downside was it was messy. There was a fucking roach in my room. And you'd see roaches everywhere. And dirt and bleh. And one of the things that really scared me about that place was there was a little boy, just a little boy. He was like 9 or 8, couldn't be older than 10. He was put into solitary. That cold, bland brick room, away from everybody else. The entire time he was there. I can't express to you how much I wanted to open that door and hug him. Hearing his screams and pleads for his mother who neglected him. There was nothing wrong with him. He was a normal little boy. I cried. I cried at night, hearing him. He'd scream or cry himself to sleep. And now he's probably traumatized from that. And the nurses barely ever talk to him, other than to tell him to be quiet. And he'd eat after us. We'd get our food, we'd finish, and we'd go to take showers, and they'd take him out of the room and down to the cafeteria. He must have felt so lonely. He must have felt alone, like the world was against him. And I can't tell you how much I wish I could just apologize. I said stuff about it. I talked with the other patients, and I talked with the nurses, and the other patients were furious. And the nurses were like, so? And it's sad. It is so sad that his parents put him in there because they didn't want him. I talked to him. He was in the waiting room with me when I was being admitted. And we talked, and he was a normal little boy. Bless his heart. He didn't know what was going on. He didn't know that for an entire week, he'd be treated like an animal in a pen. And if I see him now, I'd give him the love he deserves. Because I'd get in trouble for trying to speak to him. We weren't allowed near the door. And he would kick that metal door. He wanted out. He wanted to be with us. Well, not us, but he wanted to be out. 24 hours he was in that damn room. I'd go insane just because of that. And I'm sure that trauma has changed him even more. And because of shit like that, people do actually get mental issues like depression, anxiety. Hell, he may even have claustrophobia now, if he didn't before. And it's fucking horrible. Remembering his screams every night and pleads for help and his mom and to be let out, I just want to cry. It's horrible. Out of everything that I've experienced in those hospitals, that's one of the things that have affected me the most. And I can't even remember the entire week I was there. I remember learning how to play BS. I remember talking with my friends. I remember making up a rumor that the goat man's outside watching us. Oh yeah, it flipped everyone out. Not everyone, but the younger kids. The youngest one there, I think it was like 7 or 8. She had I think she was either a trouble child or just ADHD or some shit. And her parents were one of those, fix her now kind of parents. But yeah, I flipped them out. It was pretty funny, to be honest. And the second worst thing that happened to me in the hospitals was at St. Simon's, where I heard most of the rumors and the bullshit and blah. So we were outside me and my little group of friends chilling out at the picnic table with the concrete basket court right to my right. And one of the other girls in our group was standing there and staring at us. And we were trying to invite her over. We were like, hey, come talk with us. And we were making jokes and stuff. And she slowly starts falling. And I realize she's going into a seizure. She was known to have seizures. And the medical stuff I know, that kicked in. And I knew I couldn't let her hit the concrete. So I sprinted over yelling for someone to get a nurse. And I scraped my knees, slamming onto the concrete to catch her head. And her arm was under her like that. And the nurses got mad at me. They were like, you're not supposed to be touching. Get away from her. And I'm just like, but I'm already here. I can't just move when somebody's having a seizure on me. That is dangerous. And because of their negligence, when I moved, she dislocated her arm. If they would have just let me sit there for, a minute to 2 more minutes, she wouldn't have dislocated her arm. And she would have gone to the hospital, and other than the seizure, she would have been fine. We don't know what caused it. We don't know what kind of seizures she had or what her triggers were, but it just happened suddenly. And I can't tell you the anger. I wanted to scream at those nurses. Everyone knows you're not supposed to move someone having a seizure. And if they're on you or something like that, you can't move. They could dislocate something, or they could bang their head like she was doing once I moved. And those fucking idiots just stood there and sent us inside. And that's why I snuck almost all of the pencils in my room. Like, motherfuckers. By the end of the week I was there, I had snuck 13 pencils in my room. Parry this, you fucking casual. You know? Being in those hospitals in the children's ward, you really see the worst in a lot of people. Not just kids and teens your age or close to it, but the people you're supposed to trust, the people you're supposed to confide to, those nurses, those mentors, those therapists. You're supposed to trust them while you're in there. They are your guardians. But you can't. The only people you can trust is yourself, or maybe even a few friends you've made in there. In fact, I still have someone I met in there's number. Her name is Angel. And, man, we clicked. Yeah. The second one I went to, Lake Bridge, I mentioned that they abused me. They did. Mentally and physically. They refused to give me my medicine that entire week I was there. Because they were waiting on a fucking pregnancy test. Like, you won't give me my meds that my psychiatrist had filled out and even written a note, hey, it's okay for her to take this. Because you're waiting on a fucking pregnancy test? Pregnancy tests don't take an entire fucking week. So, the withdrawals were so bad that I was throwing up. I was constantly tired. I was constantly nauseous. And They wouldn't even let me lay down. And whenever I refused to sit back up or participate, they threatened to keep me there longer, which is fucking sick. I wasn't eating because I couldn't. And because of that, they threatened to keep me there longer. And because of fear for my own health and my own life, I forced myself to eat just to throw up. And it was horrible. They made me participate. And by the fourth day, a day before I was supposed to go home, if I was okay enough, the second I saw my mom, I burst into tears. And for that entire half hour, while her and the therapist were talking, I cried on her lap. I laid there and I cried and I begged to go home. And one of the first things my mom said to the therapist was, "What have you done to my daughter? This is not my daughter." She asked me if they had been giving me my meds, because this is obvious heavy withdrawals. And I said no. Every single night I was there, I asked if I can get my meds yet. And they said no. And the only thing they gave me for my symptoms was Pepto-Bismol, and that shit did not work. And I begged God to make it stop, to make it just end. And because of this trauma, through those hospitals, I refuse to go back. And the only way I can prevent from going back is becoming better, you know? Focus on my depression. Focus on getting better. And it's been really difficult. I used to cut daily, multiple times a day, and now I don't cut at all. I'll be a year clean in April 26th. But the stress of everything lately has been getting really hard, but I have friends. I have friends who care for me that I can talk to. And sometimes that's all you need. The feelings of depression, yes, they'll last a long time. Some things you can't stop. What you can do, though, is when you're in the moment, prevent yourself from doing something drastic. It's really hard not to go and hurt myself because of what I used to do. Self-harming is like drugs. Once you do enough of it for long enough, it stops giving you that feeling of happiness. Like, hey, it's gone. And you want to do more. And when I hit that, I almost died. This might not seem true to a lot of people, but killing yourself isn't worth it. In the moment, you feel like nothing else matters, no one else matters, but they do. When I tried to kill myself, I told my best friend who lives in Hawaii that I'm sorry that I failed her and that I love her with all of my heart. And by the grace of God, her dad still had my mom's phone number. And if he didn't have that, I would have died. And I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be the person that I am. I wouldn't be better. And I know that. There's a reason I'm still here. There's a reason you're here as well. You mean so much more to people, to life, than you really think you do. I might not know all of you, but y'all mean the world to me. For 5 years, I've been building up this channel. Even through my times in the hospitals, or my moves, or my depression, I've tried to make stuff for you guys. I've tried to make you guys happy. And seeing my channel grow makes me so happy. It means the world to me. And I just want to let y'all know that I love y'all so much. And you mean more to everything than you really think you do. Especially when you're depressed, when you're suicidal, when you're homicidal. You have to fight it. Because you're going to do things. You're going to do things in life. I assure you. You're going to be fucking amazing when you're older. I bet. And I just appreciate y'all. And I don't want y'all to experience the things that I've gone through. Through self-harming, through depression, through suicide attempts, through those hospitals. Those damn hospitals are what changed me. Not because of the good they've done, but because of the fucking horrible things they've done. And I just, like I said, I don't want y'all to go through that. I love y'all, okay? The best thing to do, even though it's really difficult, is try to find the best coping mechanisms you can. Experiment a little. Write a book. Try doodling. Chew something. God, I fucking chewed up my ruler. And I'm reading a really good book right now that's really helped me. It's called Salt to the Sea. And I really love history and stuff like that. It's a historical fiction about World War II. There's 4 different perspectives. There's a Lithuanian, a Polish, a Russian, and what turns out to be an East Prussian. We thought he was German. But it's really interesting, and I highly recommend it. Each chapter is a different story. Chapters are very short, like 1 to 2 pages. That makes it really easy for me to read it, because I have the attention span of a fucking gnat. So I'll go like, boo, 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 boo. So considering the chapters are not only short, but different perspectives each time, I'm like, oh, plot twist. Yeah. Just try your hardest to experiment a little. Find people you can trust. And for people like me, who have a kind of rocky judgment due to their past, just keep trying. And those people who are bad, those people who mentally abuse you, who physically abuse you, you gotta get them out of your life. It's not gonna be forever. Alright? And we're pretty close to spring break as well. And if you're like me, you don't exactly like coming home. Try to go places. I don't know. I like to go into the woods. The woods are my safe place. There's a stream close by to my house that I tend to go to frequently. I actually found some deer bones. I took them home. So yeah. Coping mechanisms and good thoughts are the key. Not everything's gonna go away quickly. I've had bipolar, suicidal depression for 5 years now. For the first 3 years, it was absolute hell. But once you find those people, once you find those coping mechanisms, even if you don't find coping mechanisms, having something to do, something to distract yourself. Like, God, fucking walk around the room. Take a nap. Do something. That's one of the main things that are going to help you through it. Fuck. Lay down on your dog. That's what I do. Corner my dog and I just, like, T-pose over them. You are mine, you little shit. I love you. And, you'll get through it. Even if it gets really rocky. Which it will. I'm not gonna lie to you. A lot of shit is gonna happen. Your life's gonna get really rocky. But you gotta stay strong. Alright? Stay strong for your friends. Stay strong for your parents, your family. But most importantly, stay strong for yourself. Alright? I love you.